Hello, my dear friend, and welcome to this episode where we will talk about past lives. Now, past lives can really be impacting us at a very deep level. We might not even know it. Past lives can impact your fears, things that you are really afraid of. So, think about it. Are you afraid of the water? Are you afraid of heights? Are you the one who takes risks or doesn't take risks? Chances are that your past lives dictate that. And then past lives can also be dictating the current patterns that you have in your life. For example, if you are really attracting toxic partners all the time, or if you are feeling unloved in your relationships, maybe that's with your partner, maybe that's with your parents, maybe that's even with your kids. You feel like you do everything, but you're not getting it all in return. Chances are that that too stems from your past lives. Before we begin, I am Kanika, an energy and parenting coach, and I love tuning into the Akashic records for all the soul-led guidance. So if you like content like this, please subscribe to my channel so that we can be connected on YouTube or wherever you are listening to this show. So getting back to past lives, let me share a story from one of my clients. Now, she came to me because she was just not happy in her relationships. Like she always felt she could not trust her partner. There were previous relationships that she'd broken up, and now she was in a relationship. So, with me, she really wanted to know at a deeper level what was going on, why she couldn't trust fully. Her partner wanted her to open up a lot more, and she just had this reservation inside, and she just could not open up. She could not be just vulnerable. She just did not know how to do that, could not even express her feelings as properly. When I looked into her past life, I saw that in one of her previous lifetimes, she had been drowned by her lover at that time. She fully trusted him, and there was essentially some path that he was going on, and she wanted to stop him from following that path. She was telling him the dangers of being involved with the other people there who seemed to be a lot more influential and also into drugs and guns. So she really wanted to warn him and stop him. The guy wanted to do that because it had more money. And he was increasingly feeling like she was getting into the way. And so he took her to a lake. It was meant to be a nice time where they would walk together. And instead, he just took her there and then drowned her. So her body remembered loving, and then it remembered drowning. It remembered being stabbed in the back for loving, truthfully, honestly, being really as pure as possible in her love. It still remembered that she could not trust people that she loved. So she was not able to open up fully. She was not able to express herself fully because her body just did not want that. So, this is how past lives work. Past lives stay in the body, they stay in your memory. What happens is that as a spirit, when you pass, your body, physical body, as in this physical body is Kanika, you're right now listening to me. This physical body passes away, but my energetic body holds that imprint. It holds the story of what happens. So when I come back into another lifetime, I still have that story somewhere in my space. It is in my energetic space, and I'm still operating off from that. So, whether it is a limiting story like this, where your spirit remembers that you loved and that did not result in receiving love fully, you start operating out of that. Or it could be other fears where things happened to you when you were at a certain height, where things happened to you in the water. You carry that trauma within you. Now, your body, physical body, always wants to keep you safe. It always wants to keep you alive, like that's the primary job, to keep you going. And hence, whatever it feels stopped you, it will really try and stop all of that. You might be totally unconscious to it. Now, with this client of mine, when I was telling her that this is what truly happened, and as we were working in the one-on-one session and I was healing that, we also discovered that this happened in Venice. And so she immediately went like, oh my God, that's why whenever I look at the photographs in Venice, I cry and I just do not understand that. Then she talked to me about how she had a fear of water because she was drowned. So I want you to think about your fears as well. Sometimes you're not fully aware of what's going on in the picture. Let's say you're really afraid of going into the water, or you're really afraid of being at a certain height. You're afraid of being alone in the house. Whatever you are afraid of, I want you to think of that. Or even areas where your body seems to react, right? Like, let's say you have skin infections and you go like, what's really going on with my skin infections? Where did they start? Start probing that area. Chances are they will be in your earlier childhood years or your teenage years, but they also might be a lot earlier than that. And that would be the past life area. Another client came to me because he had repeated skin infections. Whenever they tried something for his skin, he had eczema. Whenever they would try something, things would work for a little while and then they would just stop working. It was as if the body just stopped it, right? And so I looked at his past life. What had happened was that there was a lifetime where he had leprosy. And that sounds bad. Like when you think of leprosy, you go like, why does the body want to have that? The thing is that he had leprosy and there were people around him who were captured to be slaves, but he had leprosy. So, because he had leprosy, he was like the untouchable. They just left him alone. And he did not get to be a slave in that lifetime because he had leprosy. So, you see how it transpires to this lifetime. Somewhere his body remembers that if you have leprosy, you are safe. Like you're not going to be a slave. Now, of course, in this lifetime, you're not going to be a slave. There, I assume, would be no one today really being taken as a slave. So his body does not need to hold on to that fear. But that past life fear or the past life trauma has not been fully healed. So the body doesn't fully understand it. And hence, whenever they would try any eczema treatments, the body would just keep manifesting the same thing again. Like it would just fight against the treatment because it felt that it was safe for the body to not have the best skin. Hence, past lives are really, really important to understand. All the fears, all the patterns that you have in your life, they can have a much deeper root. And it's important to work with your body because your body is trying to keep you safe in the sense of whatever it understands true. But sometimes there might be very old stories that you want to bring to the present time. But for now, think of it this way, that if you have certain fears, if you have certain patterns, if your body is reacting a certain way, if things tend to go a certain way for you, like it just does not matter how much hard you try and you do not get business results, or you try really hard and you still are not able to get the promotion that you want, there might just be a lot bigger things at play than just that thing itself. And the great thing about this is that the minute you start understanding what is the trigger, you can start healing them. When you start healing them, like the whole world just poof, changes. Like in the examples that I've given, when the lady was told that, okay, this was the story with her lover, when we could heal that, then she no longer has to carry that trauma, right? Immediately in the session, she felt a lot lighter. And then afterwards, she wrote an email to me saying that, oh, like now I feel a lot more comfortable and I feel like I can truly be. Her own words were that she was feeling for the first time things that she hadn't felt for a long time. She'd been in the same relationship, and yet she just wasn't allowing herself to feel the love and the joy because at a subconscious level, she was holding herself back. For the eczema client as well, his skin condition really changed because we healed that part of him that felt that it was good to have an unhealthy skin to stay safe. But that's just the communication that your body needs. The sessions are a lot around clearing those energetic ties that we might have had, those energetic vows, agreements. Once we start clearing that energy, then your body can really operate from the redefined blueprint, right? It does not have to operate from, let's say, a broken operating system. Okay, so before we go further, let me just answer this basic question of what are past lives, right? Now, past lives are our soul's reincarnation. So we think that we are the person in the body. This is who we are. This is the finiteness of who we are. And we are a lot more than that. Often, the example that I give here is think of an apple. like a full apple. Maybe that is a red apple, that's a green apple, whatever sort of apple you like. And just imagine chopping it into like 1,000 pieces and pick out one slice from there. Now, this one slice, the thin, paper thin slice, that represents your lifetime right now. It is you right now. And that whole apple is the summation of like all the other lifetimes that you've had. Now, we think that we would have had lifetimes only on earth. That is possible. There could also have been other things in other realms where you went out and explored. So, you essentially have a lot more knowledge. Now, your past lives could be a lot of things depending on what you wanted to do. We come onto the earth because there's certain things that we want to explore. Maybe you want to explore love in this lifetime. Maybe there are previous lifetimes where you've had a lot of love and you've been good at getting love from your parents, or you've been really born into families where things were easily given to you. So, this lifetime, you want to explore something different. You want to explore, okay, what happens if I get a heartache? What happens if my family does not love me fully? You want to explore love in those dimensions. For your soul or spirit, it is not something that's really traumatic. Soul is just trying to have a fuller experience. You know, if you think of the apple is just trying to have a fuller experience of the story. Every lifetime is almost like a movie cinema. So you go into one cinema hall, you watch a movie, you learn something, and that's that. For the soul, it's not as painful. It is us in the body who feel the pain. But the soul, the spirit, I'm using those terms interchangeably. When you come into the body, you are experiencing the pain, but your spirit is not. Your spirit is just coming with one purpose, which is evolution. And how do you evolve? How do you really come into light? You know, this is why Buddha said that pain is inevitable because it will happen on earth when you come here. That is going to happen. That is the law almost. That will happen. But suffering is a choice. So it's your choice whether you take that suffering or not. The more you actually work with past lives, the more you're really able to heal yourself from the pain. You're more able to rise above the pain, so to speak. So, like, even if things happen, they're not really truly going to affect you. Now, so your past lives and this life, they are all information gathering experiences for your spirit. It is just trying to understand some subject at a much deeper level. And hence, past lives are not just about going back, healing, and then getting that freedom. They're great for that, but also it's about tapping into that wisdom. Let's say you want to create wealth. Chances are you've had a past life where you have actually been amazing at creating wealth. You could just tap into that. But while your spirit learned how to create wealth and attract a lot of clients, at the same time, it still wants to understand the subject of creating wealth. Right. So it will create circumstances for you to lose wealth. It'll create circumstances for you or lifetimes for you where you tend to give off money, you tend to make the wrong investments. People take money off you where it gets harder for you because it wants to learn like that. But if you can really tap into your past lives, you get to tap into that wisdom and that knowledge itself as well. And this is what people refer to as the higher self. If I come back to the apple, so your 1,000 slices, 1,000 slice we were talking was your lifetime. And that's just an example, right? Like you might not have 1,000 lifetimes, you might have lesser, you might have more, but it's just an example to explain to you what this current life and what the impact of your spirit life experiences is. So if you want to change this slice, like that 1,000 slice, when you take it out, that slice should look really good. It should look really well formed. It should be very tasty to eat. It should not feel scarred. For that, the whole apple has to feel very good as well, meaning your spirit. So if the apple has to feel good, you want to heal those traumas that your soul has had. There are some imprints that your soul can have as it goes through lifetimes where, it starts feeling like, oh, I'm limited in some way, or I can't do this. Those traumas that come in, you want to heal those rotten edges. Maybe the apple got some cuts along the way. You want to heal all of that for you to have a much more fuller experience. And the more and more you start healing that apple, or the more and more you start healing that spiritual part of you, you also then, because your apple is now looking a lot more healthier, you're now able to more tap in to that knowledge that you have, to the wisdom that you have as a soul, which is your higher self, really. So, what have you learned in all these explorations around money, in terms of losing money, in terms of establishing at a smaller level, at a bigger level, in terms of establishing with the community, with one partner, with 100 partners? What have you learned? You can start tapping into that wisdom and you can bring that forward into your current lifetime. So, the more you remember, the more you heal your past lives, the more you also bring that awareness and that power back into your current lifetime. So it's an absolutely amazing gift. So let me look at some really commonly asked questions around past lives. So the first question I usually get is, well, how do I know this is from a past life or this is not from a past life? Well, look at it this way. If you feel that things are really repeating for you, that means that there is a story attached to it. If you feel like there is something unexplained, there's a story attached to it. If you feel like you don't really know why, like there's no conscious thing, then there's a past life attached to it. Let me give you a few examples and then that will clarify. Maybe you meet someone and you just don't like them. Like that's a boss or that's just another person you met and you just have an instant dislike, you have an instant like. There is a past story there. You look at some place, like my client had the photograph of Venice and she would just always feel very cheerful when she saw that. If you have a place like that that just evokes certain emotions in you and you don't know why, then that place has a pastime memory for you. So, people, places where they trigger something. Sometimes you might be seeing things in your dreams as well. And then you know, okay, this is something that I've got to listen to. Look at the repeating patterns in your life. And I'll just talk about myself for a minute when I talk about repeating patterns. If I look at my past, relationships which just have not been good at all, and I can blame all of them in the physical life. That's the logical thing to do, right? Like this person did that, this person did that. Of course, it makes sense. We are not together. But the common person in between is me all throughout. So, why am I attracting certain sort of people? That story is with me. So if you have a certain story with people, if you have a certain story with jobs, like if you feel that, well, with your jobs, you've just got to work very hard, where is that enslavement frequency that runs in you? And not your fault, but it's just something that is in your vibration, that is in your soul imprint, something that's coming from a past life that has to be cleared up. If I was talking about relationships till the time I cleared it, I had this pattern of attracting really toxic partners. And again, I can blame all of them, but what is the story inside me? And I had to go back and look at myself. Why was I attracting toxic partners? And so, in full disclosure, I was coming with this story of, well, I am unlovable as I am. And for the longest time, I thought, the more and more I looked back, I thought, oh, that is my parents. Even though I come from a very, very loving family, but I still thought of things that were not done right, where I felt I should have been more visible, I should have been more validated, etc. So I was thinking around my parents and going, oh, okay, this is why I'm not getting love fully or I'm not being met fully because of how I was raised up. But then I looked at my past lives and I realized that there were lives where I was orphaned. There was a life where I was young, probably like 6 or 7 years old. I saw my dad killing my mom because my mom was speaking out her truth, and he was like in a religious group. And she was telling people that they had to more look at their inner truth. So she was sort of standing against him. So my mom was killed while I was watching from the window. Like nobody knew. And they did the whole thing and then they saw me. And as a result of that, I lost my voice in that lifetime. And I also felt that I could just not trust anyone. I was just not lovable, shocked, like I was just not okay as I was. I just did not know my footing. I just did not know whether I belonged on earth or not. Like it just shook me to the whole core. So, coming back to the story of this lifetime and then going back to previous lifetimes, in this lifetime, if you just look at your childhood or your teenager years and what's happened to you in the past and so on, you are just looking at one piece of the story. Sometimes when you go to the past lives, you just start understanding a deeper layer, which is a lot deeper than just what looking at this little apple slice will explain to you. When I was just looking at my parents and this lifetime, of course, it was all traumatic and it was all coming to them, which is in all the sense that they did wrong, they were learning as well. They were doing the best that they could do. They were growing up as well. But that wasn't the fuller story. I was coming in with a whole lot of imprints myself. And a lot of times, the imprints that you have, the past life programming, the conditioning that you have, like if your apple itself is rotten, right? You could be in the healthiest and the most loving situations, families. It is going to feel that. It's not what people are doing to you. Sometimes it could just be your perception as well. So, the more you explore your past lives, you understand deeper layers of it. And what you're feeling just today as, oh, I'm unlovable, you might discover much deeper layers to that. Like, I realized it wasn't even about love, it was about trusting. It was, well, can I trust my father? Can I trust my other people? Am I okay? I was so young at the time when this happened that I did not know myself now whether I could love my dad or not. And in that lifetime, I just ended up really losing my voice. I got really sick because I just could not fathom, I could not process anything, and I just passed away. So I had a lot of stuff that I had to work through once I learned about that lifetime, because I had to learn about visibility, so which is really owning yourself in this world. The impact that I got was, well, maybe I'm not safe, maybe I will be killed, but also I can't speak my truth. Also, well, not really knowing because I was so young, I still depended on for food and everything else. I still depended on my family. And then not being able to speak up for something as horrible as that, not even knowing that really, right? So, your whole belongingness, how you step up into the world, all of that also comes from your previous lifetimes. If you have some lifetimes like that, you've had times where you've been killed in war or other things like that, they might really be impacting you at a much bigger scale than you realize. And now that brings me to the important question of, well, do you have to remember all of these lifetimes to fully heal? And I'm so glad to tell you that no, you don't need to remember all the lifetimes to fully heal, which is such a blessing, because imagine if you had to like really remember all of that trauma. But you don't really need to know the whole story. Like, you just need to know, okay, this is where the apple is rotten. This is what happened. You need to fill that in with love and light. And this is where energy healing is just absolutely beautiful, because you don't need to understand the whole details. You don't need to live through the traumatic experience. What you can do is you can just bring in love and light to that experience itself. So here's what you can do as an example, even as you are listening to this, right? Like just a little tip trick. Maybe there are patterns that you feel in your life right now as you're listening to this video, audio, and you're going, oh, I want to heal this pattern. Just imagine that you are connected with the earth and the sun, because the earth and the sun, they'll always hold unlimited love for you, unconditional love. They see you as you are. They understand the whole apple. They understand what you're going to do on earth. They understand the total evolution, like truly knowing you in and out. So just imagine that your feet, they're sinking into the ground. You've got them all the way to the center of the earth. You're hooked into earth's unconditional love. So just imagine bringing up, drawing up like this green emerald energy into you. You can even put your hand on your heart and really anchor that. And imagine gold beam of light flowing in from the sun above. And this is your sun. This is your direction. This is your clarity. This is your light. This is your joy. Just bring that in. Anchor that first into yourself. So place one hand on yourself. And then just imagine as if you've got the pattern or whatever situation you want to recover from. Imagine that that's what you've got. And you put the other hand on there. And you just imagine that this energy is flowing through that pattern, through that limiting thing that blocks you. And already you'll start feeling like a shift is happening. Just keep breathing. Take a nice deep breath. If you feel like really blocked or you feel like emotions are coming up, that's okay. Emotions coming up just means that you are bringing up stuff that wants to heal. That's okay. Just breathe, just breathe, just let it go. Just let more love and light flow through you from the sun and the earth. And then send the other hand, put that on your pattern, on whatever it is you want to heal, and just send that love and light there. Just letting that pattern receive the love and light as well. And this is how you start dissolving some of your past life things. Now, I am going to do a much deeper past life workshop, so I will leave the link down. Otherwise, if you're really interested, it is artoflifecenter.com/past life. So art, A-R-T, art of life center, CENTER.com/past life. This is where I'm going to do a full 2 hour workshop on helping you see the past life, but not see it in like full depth. You just want to know, okay, this is what happened. This is what is giving me the imprint, right? And you just want to clear that imprint. So majority of that workshop is really going to be around cleaning, around healing your past life so that you can walk away a lot more empowered. Like you don't need to operate from past life. If your lover drowned you long, long time ago in the 1790s in a lake, you don't have to live that anymore. Like, come on, it's 2025. Right? So we will help you step into your power. So, another question that I get is, do past lives affect relationships? And yes, they do. They affect all your key relationships. I was already talking about this client of mine who got drowned in Venice, but it will not just impact your partners, it will impact your parents. Like, how do you feel with your parents? I talked about mine as well. How do you feel with your children? This is where it will most come out. Think of this way. Think of it this way. When your soul incarnates here on earth, it's actually coming in because it wants to work on some core wounds. Like there's some core lesson that it wants to do. So, especially your key relationships, your parents, your key people in your life, if you've been looked after by a guardian, if there's like some teacher you really liked, some mentor, all those key relationships that already defined your friends, your kids, your pets, like just really important, significant relationships. The essence of those is already defined. And it's not to punish you all the time. If you've had partners who are just toxic, it is not to punish you guys. The idea is that you learn from them and then you evolve. So initially, you will notice that in your relationships, you will have the pattern which is a little bit small, right? But if you've not learned your lesson, it becomes a lot louder, 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 till the time you're really ready to get it. If you are not learning the lessons, because your soul really wants you to learn and evolve and grow, it will just increase the intensity so that you learn the lesson that you are supposed to learn. Like in your previous relationships, you might have felt that, oh, they're not going really well. So you break away from them. But if you haven't learned the lesson, then whatever it is you were meant to learn, that will come to your next relationships. So, the best tip, best relationship advice I can give to you is that if there's something that you're wanting to break out of, or if there's some new form of love that you want for yourself, maybe you want a very fulfilling relationship, which is fulfilling at a body level, which is fulfilling at the soul level and mind level as well. If you feel like you don't get all of that in your existing relationships, look at what your previous relationships have pointed out to you in those areas and evolve yourself first, right? When you divorce, when you move out of a relationship, you move out of that, but you're not moving out of yourself. You cannot run away from you. So heal those parts within you. For me, definitely, as I've moved into more loving relationships, I've had to do my fair share of work moving out from the toxic relationships and then going into loving relationships. It wasn't about them, it was about me. So, next question is, can past life energy really show up as physical symptoms as well? Yeah, that is totally true. Because your current body, your physical body, is operating from what it knows is safe. I gave you the example where one of my clients, he was just having repeated skin issues because his body remembered that that is the safe way. There's another client of mine who came to me because she had repeated reproductive problems. And as I looked at her, I found out that there was one lifetime where in the 1800s, whereas she was in the delivery room giving birth to her child, there was a lot of blood loss. And in that blood loss, it took a lot of time as well. She lost her healthy baby, who was supposed to be the heir of the family. So she lost the son. So, what the soul wanted to do at that time, in that lifetime, was it wanted her to remember that she had a lot of power. So, in the delivery room, she was surrounded by this man who was trying to help through the whole birth process. And then there were two other females there as well. She was feeling really uncomfortable. She was not able to work with her body, like she was more listening to what they were trying to say. And by no means, by the way, am I saying that you're not supposed to listen to your physicians or doctors and so on. I'm all for medical treatment. What this client was simply channeling, and which I would encourage all of you to consider, is also to work in alignment with your body. If your body is giving you a certain signal, like her body was telling her to push at certain times, but she was really following the instructions of what was being told to her. And at that time, they did not have the information that losing blood was so wrong for the body, like the body needs blood as the energy. So she was losing a lot of blood, and the people there did not realize. But she was getting that intuitive hit, but she was not fully able to tune into it. Then this whole story happened where she lost her child. But in this lifetime, her body remembered that, oh, I do not want to have a child because that is very traumatic. I can lose a child. This is what she told me later on. She's like, oh my God, that just explains why I don't want to think about having a child. So your infertility or your desire of having kids can be influenced, or highly likely is influenced, from whatever has happened in your past life. If you've seen your children taken away, if you have seen yourself being separated, or if you have really seen hard things as a kid yourself, that is what your body remembers, and it does not want to have kids as much anymore. So a lot of your physical symptoms that you experience, they can come from your past lives. Throat issues could be very well a manifestation because you were told to silence yourself during a past life. For myself, I was not really able to speak up very well. And one of my previous lifetimes was where I'd seen my father kill my mother, and I'd really lost my voice then because it was just unsafe to speak up. And I was still carrying it on in this lifetime till I felt and I could work through the whole thing to go like, no, it is safe to speak up. A lot of your physical issues, the underlying story with them can be one of your past lives. Of course, work with all the medical help that you can get, but it is also worthwhile looking into your past life and unlocking, unraveling anything that just might be holding you back. I think I could really go on and on with past lives because in all my sessions, I find that past lives are just such a key reason of why we are living life in a certain way, why we are limited in certain ways. Your job promotion could be limited because you are still enslaved to something. By the way, if you are not marrying, for example, there might be past vows that you have still that you've made to someone that we're going to be together forever. And that was long, long, long time ago, some 2000 years ago. Maybe you told a friend that we are going to be together forever, or you are waiting for someone to come back from a war and you're still holding that energy unknown to you in some place for something else to happen. So it's very important to work with your past life to bring all of that present to this state, to also correct all of those contracts, all those agreements and vows, and any imprints that you might have had during your past lives, because they're all really old time and that is not your current lifetime today. So, if you want to do more work like this, if you really feel inclined, then I do encourage you to join my workshop. That is at artoflifecenter.com/past life. So let me know how you felt with this discussion about past life. Did this resonate? Did this not resonate? Leave me a review or leave me your questions and comments. I'd love to get back to you. At this stage, I'm still answering all the questions. You can also follow me at Kanika Energy Coach on YouTube or Instagram, and we can stay connected that way as well. I will see you next time with another episode. With lots and lots of love, I am Kanika, your energy coach.